Hello there, folks. Out for a walk. It's interesting to walk. It's a different thing to sitting or standing and speaking. It feels like time is in the knees. I often wonder then when I'm out on a walk, what am I here to say? Because obviously I could speak about anything on a video. Could sing a song, tell jokes, talk about trees. But really, as much as everybody else, I'd like to solve problems on the planet, or at least talk about them, share ideas, or even just share a little bit of togetherness. You know, that we're not alone with our crazy thoughts. We live in a system where everything's back to front, where the police are a threat to their own citizens, and where governments run everything for the benefit of the corporations. The health system makes everybody sick. The military is a danger to its own people. The banking system creates money out of nothing and then pledges our property on it. There's just so many reasons why this world has gotten crazy. Evil has found its way to the top of the pyramid of power. We all live in states, mental states. When you say, what state do you live in? Because countries and nations don't really exist, they're just fictional entities that we have created for a purpose. It seems that now we think that those entities even exist, like countries and nations and flags. And so this gives rise to evil in government and misuse of power. People in high places putting their hand in the money pot and taking out more than their fair share. Misusing the power that has been given to them, misusing their position of authority. Now we're talking big allegations and big threats, and at the end of the day everybody knows that there's a corruption in all areas of life, and those with the most power obviously have the capability of the biggest corruption. But it seems that the biggest trick that's been played on us people, is the paperwork trick, the language trick. We're born into a nation, into a language. We speak the language of, and we know no other language. So to us, language is just normal. It's always been there. We never consider that the language that we speak, that the words that we speak, have some kind of a subliminal effect on us. It's maybe only when you learn another language or study the language in more detail that you can actually see that the language itself has the ability of making us all crazy or misunderstanding each other. At the same time, the language being a device, a tool, an instrument of communication, can be used and reversed engineered, so we can understand those misunderstandings, so we can comprehend the meaning of the language. In such an ambiguously formulated language as English, where one word, when sounded, may have 2, 3, 4, maybe more connotations, maybe more things. But we think the other person means this, and maybe we're not even aware of its true legal definition in a court of law. And some of us people, we're all different, men, women, different people, different types of people, different skills, different interests. Some are healers, some are builders, some are fire keepers, some are, there's all different kinds of people. And so when a system, a power structure, manifests itself in society over time, then more and more people will feel the effects. Just like businesses going out of business, like companies, like little industries going out of business years ago, as the bigger industries take over the power and wipe out smaller industries. And so one after the other, different types of people are affected by different laws, different changes in society, different government power takeovers. And I notice it on myself, the restrictions to my own freedom almost stops me being who I was born to be. I feel like I'm not allowed to be myself. But even there, the word allowed implies that there's another man, another authority, maybe an older human or man or woman over me, but that cannot be true. No, we're all equal in the law. And of course, people have different authority in different fields, different businesses. You need leadership and authority in business, but in public free life, we're so restricted by government regulations. And those same government regulations don't seem to count for the upper class, for the elite families, if you like, the elites, for the civil servants and bureaucrats. They seem to be able to get around the law most of the time. And so it seems the top of the pyramid, that shining golden top of the pyramid, is only shining because of the power that's given, that's passed from the bottom, from the poor or the lower classes or the working classes and the middle classes, all passed upwards through coercion, through trickery, through bribery, through sheer coercion. At one time I thought that people would rise up and see this so clearly, that the health system was in massive need of change, and the government was in need of change, and a lot of the corruption needed to be turfed out. I would have thought that people would have stood up in masses by now, and it would have been obvious to every man, woman and child that the government is definitely needs a serious look at. We cannot just trust authority to look after us and our families. I thought that would have been blatantly obvious. But over the years I became impatient in myself, so I started looking at what I can do as an individual to get some kind of power in a political realm, because politics is a difficult field. It's very easy to just say I should have the rights to be free and do whatever I like. But we live in a society that's built to protect us from evil. But that same promise of protection should go all the way up. It should protect the individual and not just groups. And as it is now, there's so much injustice being done to individuals. But the groups, the masses of people, act like sheep, bystanders, and all sort of let the one be sacrificed to save the many. Thing is, there is no such thing as a many. We're all individuals. We all feel our own individual pain. So, like I say, my research, my own attention went to what powers have I got as an individual? Because if I've got those powers, then other eyes, other people, other you, have got those same potential rights and duties. And that caused me to study a lot of the history of a lot of different countries and legal systems. We often think there's just one law, the law. But there's so many different legal systems, just like in a computer. You've got your browser, you've got Java systems and HTML and Windows and DOS and all of these different systems that run together for different purposes. Same in the legal system. There's contracting courts, contract courts, and there's criminal courts, ecclesial courts, and that in all different languages. And so all of that authority comes from somewhere. It comes from a long time ago. So there's no living man today that established that authority. It was already established. And so that I'm on equal par with all other living men and women on this planet. We're all living, we all have life. So that gives us precedent over the non-living fiction that we created to protect us. So there's a lot of questions that came in for me, because obviously it was so easy to say, I don't consent to the government. The government doesn't own me. I didn't sign anywhere for the government, so I don't need to follow the government rules. That would be essentially what I would say. But when we live in a society full of people who, everybody, how can I prove that I'm not good or evil? How can I prove that? I mean, nobody can presume that I'm evil, but at the same time, nobody can just let me do what I want because I say I have the right, especially if it looks like it's endangering somebody. And because we have to coexist in a society together, there are rules and laws that come up. So it's about looking at my position, my own position in this society. What rights, what duties, what powers, what position, what standing do I have? What state am I in? Is this my own state? Have I developed my own state, in that I have my own state of state of mind? I have my own state of mind, and I have my own behaviour, my own body of law. So I am my own corporate rule. So when we're talking about corporations as being a corpora, which is Latin for corpse, which means body, it doesn't mean what we think it means necessarily. I am my own body of law, so I am my own corporate rule. So when we're talking about a nation being a corporation, yes, it's a body of law, but it's one person, it's equivalent. So not to make this video too long, I just wanted to sort of put out this idea about the power is in each man and woman and child. It's in our hand. It's in the hand that you write with. It's in the hand and the forehead, and it's your will of intent comes through your signature. And unless somebody's forced you to move your hand under duress or protest, then it was your intent that went into that pen that caused you to sign. And that signature that you gave is your mark. And that signature, everybody has that hand, but everybody forgets this right hand. This is the invisible hand. This is the invisible hand of power. This is the invisible ruling hand. And it's when your hand is doing something against your own will that it's doing something for somebody else's will, or another entity. Now, I'd say that the paper world, the world of the non-living, I'm not saying the dead world, because it was never alive, but the paper world is there. It continues after the one who wrote it, the author, the writer. After the writer's deceased, the paper carries on. And we get confused with our paper person that we all have, our name, where we come from. But if we understand truly who you are and where you really come from, I'm not talking about a name that you was given. Sometimes something that we was given doesn't necessarily belong to us. I'm not talking about a land we was born in, because where do we land? And if we land, where did we come from before we landed? Where did we fall from? Where did you fall from? And so that misunderstanding between paper world and living world is one of the biggest back doors for misuse of power. And people are generally, it's so far out of our realm of comprehension what that means, what I'm talking about. The paper world, the world of fiction, the world of characters and roles and states. But that fictional world has a purpose, but we should not mistake a fictional world for a living world. We should not mistake living evidence for written evidence. We shouldn't mistake authority. Yeah, I'll leave it there. That's yeah. Thanks a lot. Okay. Yeah. See you later. Cheerio.